Get ready to go all out.
Dawn to Dawn is taking over the block.
Starting with a special sneak peek of Season 2.
Okay, you asked for it! This feeling is too strong!
Are you out of your mind? Get out of the way!
Get weird with a Dawn to Dawn marathon.
Next Saturday, starting at midnight.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
And a very happy Merry Christmas birthday to us!
On the next all-new episode of Blue Exorcist.
Be careful! Shiemi!
It's okay!
Blue Exorcist Beyond the Snow Saga will return in 2 weeks. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Greetings, listeners, and welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy. We're recording today on December 16th of 2025. I'm Michael.
Yo, hello, I'm Tommy.
And I guess we can get right into our podcast where we talk about anime and other things. So, first things first, there's some news. And by the way, I'm sorry if anyone can hear the noise in the background. I don't think it's getting picked up by the microphone, but just in case you hear anything, that's what it might be. Anyway, we have sort of confirmation on what's coming. So for this week, we have our regular schedule, it looks like. And then the week after that, we've got a Dawn to Dawn marathon. And then the week after that, we go back to the regular shows. It's not the exact same schedule going forward, but that's just moving some of the stuff towards the end that's reruns that we don't watch anyway. So the big thing we got is for the Dawn to Dawn marathon, the first thing they're airing is listed as a, what was the exact phrase? Let me double check. Yeah, Dawn to Dawn Season 2 sneak peek. So we don't have confirmation, but we're assuming that what that means is it's going to be like the first episode of the second season, which seems to basically be a near guarantee they're going to have the second season airing on Toonami. When? We don't know, but I would assume that it'll be the replacement for Mashle. And Mashle, so that means how many episodes of Mashle are left again? Let's see. We do still have a decent number of episodes, so I don't think we'd be getting the second season, I think at the earliest one, about a month after the preview airs, but that's what we've got there. So it looks like we're getting season 2 of that, probably as a Mashle replacement.
Yeah. Hopefully not as a replacement for anything else. It
is, of course, possible that maybe they'll just move everything, they'll move a bunch of stuff forward, and then we'll be staying up an extra half hour.
I'll be going to 2:30 and then stumbling into church only 6 hours later.
See, I am the fortunate one because I live in Central Time, so everything's an hour earlier for me. Okay, so that's the big news. I guess not directly in Toonami, but I guess I might as well acknowledge the fact we have possibly reached the end of an era. The last episode of My Hero Academia aired a few days ago.
Oh, wow.
Well,
so that's the end.
Yeah, well, I think there is some rumors they're going to have maybe an OVA also, because there was a bonus chapter that was included in the volume that kind of better sort of wraps up some things that the series when it was running the magazine didn't. The anime only goes through the magazine chapters and does not include that bonus thing. So a lot of people think that the OVA, if there is one, but again, there's strong rumors apparently, will cover that extra thing. But beyond that, but for the main series, we're done with My Hero Academia. Final episode aired. Maybe we'll get an extra epilogue OVA, but that'll be that, not counting Vigilantes, which is coming very soon for season 2.
That's good. And so I assume that main character, name I forget, becomes the world's greatest hero, like he promised back in like season 2. Is like, this is the story of how I became the world's greatest hero. So I assume that means he's going to become the greatest hero in that episode that aired this week.
I'm not sure if that line was actually in the manga. They put it in the anime, but they didn't put it in the manga. I don't think. I don't think it was in the first chapter. Let me just pull that up just to make a quick check. Was it at the opening part of it, or? Yeah, I don't think that was there. It's like that bit with Black Clover where it kept giving the same intro every single episode, and they kept saying that for My Hero Academia, even though I don't think that bit. Actually, the opening monologue thing of Black Clover, that was in the first chapter. It's just they did that and then they kind of left it alone, whereas the anime made sure to mention it at the start of every single episode. Which I will say, when you actually get to, I don't know how long it was, like 120 episodes in or something, when you finally get, because they've just been ramming that into your head every episode, when you actually get the full story of what happened there, you're like, oh wow, this actually recontextualizes a lot of things. That's interesting. All right, so I think that's all there. Although, honestly, I'm wondering, is the amount of time they spent on that at the start of all those Black Clovers, if you were to add them all together, would that actually equal the length of a full episode?
It kind of reminds me of what, you ever hear of this billionaire guy named Mark Cuban?
Yes. Yes, he was on Shark Tank.
He said that he stopped making his bed because he calculated that it took 10 minutes to make his bed, and if he added up those 10 minutes 365 days a year, that would be a lot of wasted time. So he just stopped making his bed altogether. And it saves himself 10 minutes a day every day.
What kind of bed takes 10 minutes to make up? Mine is takes 30 seconds.
I don't know, but that's what he said. So,
I just take the sheets and put them in the right place. It's super fast. Wow. All right. So anyway, now that we've driven away a bunch of people with this lengthy intro. Yeah, we got to keep the real. We got, this is for the real fans, man. All right. So, we'll then start up. We're on Bleach episode 29.
Yeah. And now I am blanking on what happened specifically in this episode.
They said Mimihagi a whole lot.
Oh, that's right. Oh man. Yeah, they kept on saying Mimihagi like a cult. That might be a good. How do you spell that again?
Mimihagi.
So yeah, Mimihagi. That might be good for further reference. Yeah. So basically, Ukitake, who has never really been good for anything except being a sidekick for Sunsui, he basically pulls this thing off that makes him become the Soul Kings, kind of, sort of, maybe, in a way. And by doing that, he's able to, I guess, keep things from falling apart. And which makes me wonder, like, what good would it do to Yubara if if the entire world just collapsed? Then it'd be like, well, uh, you don't get the rule over anything anyway. But um, yeah, so he does that, and meanwhile, Ichigo is fighting Yubara, and they're having a good old time with that. And I think Rukia shows up in this episode too. Is that right?
I think she appears briefly, though she doesn't really do much.
Oh, that's right. That was Unohana who uh, talked with Ukitake and basically gave a really cryptic answer about how she was going away and he was going to join her soon. And uh, yeah, um, this episode seemed kind of jumbled to me. Um, I I was I was going to pick this as my thing of the week, but now I'm not sure because um, thinking about it, it doesn't feel like much really happened besides Ukitake standing in for a few minutes to be the Soul King.
Yeah, it's there. It really was a lot of it was the main stuff that happened in this episode was we got the big Ukitake flashback when we heard the word Mimihagi a whole ton of times.
Mm-hmm.
If I had known how many times, I would have actually tried to keep a count. But
yeah, we could have done the thing I do with King of the Pirates.
and the other part was basically them fighting against Yuabaha, and Yuabaha like basically saying, "Oh yeah, I'm like really strong now," and oh yeah, I guess there was also the fact that oh yeah, Shunsui shows up and goes, "Hey Aizen, been a while."
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right, Aizen, and he doesn't seem to be very cooperative. I don't know why. He thinks Aizen's going to save everyone's skin, but who knows? Maybe he is. So I don't know.
Yeah, so that covers about all the stuff. All right. So we've then got Blue Exorcist episode 55, I think. Yes, 55. And all right, so basically this episode decides they decide, okay, I guess we'll go for romance shenanigans because we actually did some stuff with two of the characters, so maybe we should keep teasing them. And I was like thinking, oh, okay, maybe and it was like going so far with it, I was thinking, oh, hey, maybe they actually will, like, we will get the love confession and they'll get together in this episode. But then it's like, nope, of course, interruptions happen involving a guy who they recognize and I'm sure appeared before, but I cannot remember anything about. What was his name again? I wrote it down, but I forgot what it was. I don't know what that one was, but it's not super important then. Or wait, am I thinking of something that happened in the previous episode? Yeah, let me just look at I'm saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah, it was Umaimon. That was it. He was some guy who was around before, and I guess he shows up here, but I don't remember anything about his previous appearance, so I got nothing. So yeah, I guess by shonen standards, this was a step forward in terms of romance.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this episode Um, we, you know, it feels like we were going to have some sort of really big goal for everyone to do. It was like, okay, we're gonna save Shura, but now Shura's been saved, so now it's kind of like we don't have anything else to do now. So let's start this romance thing because uh, we have nothing else to do now. So yeah, kind of an awkward episode because you never really get any sort of confession or anything. So kind of awkward there.
Yeah, wow, we're in the chapter. I was just checking what chapters this corresponded to. Wow, we're in the 80s in terms of the source material. And this was a monthly series, so if you want to convert that to like weekly series, this would be like around 160 chapters. And I mentioned that, and I was thinking, man, it took friggin' Blue Box so long to finally get like the romance thing to start, and that was like faster than this. Now, granted, that was a more of an explicit romance series, but then again, when you think about how long some of the rom-coms can take to actually put two characters together in manga, that was there. So I'm not sure what point I was making, but
I don't know what Blue Box is.
oh, it was this. It's this anime. It's this manga that was made into an anime. The anime aired, I think, like earlier this year. I've been reading the manga. My opinion of it is that I actually wasn't that huge on it until around 100 chapters in, at which time some stuff happens. I'm like, oh wait, this is suddenly much more interesting. Like a lot of series, unfortunately, really does sort of drag out the actual getting of the characters together. I do. It does seem like more series are thinking, yeah, let's not drag out until the final chapter. Let's actually have this happen, like have the characters get together earlier.
Mm.
If you want the speed run, I should mention that You and I Are Polar Opposites, which is premiering this next season, actually has them get together in chapter 1. And I'm like, wait, you can do that in a shonen series? Okay. Actually, that might be an episode 1 spoiler. So if you were planning to watch the episode, just forget that I mentioned that. All right. So, yeah, that's Blue Exorcist. Then we've got Mashle episode 18. All right, so the series, the current round ends after Margaret manages to basically beat some guys we don't care about, but they were apparently strong, so it makes it so that's supposed to show that big deal. Then everyone, goes into the next round. But before we actually get to those fights, we have a whole lot of wacky tomfoolery, as they say, with characters. Finally, we get to the era where Mash and Margaret are going to face off, but only after more, shenanigans about them eating their favorite foods. And then they start fighting, so far, Mash, hasn't, actually managed to deal much damage despite, doing a big, what was it, like some giant suplex thing? Anyway, so yeah, that's basically it. The episode is mostly just shenanigans, as they say, but they were pretty funny on the whole, so that worked.
Yeah, I wasn't too interested in this episode. Let's look to see what I was talking about whenever this was going on. Let's see. Oh, right. That's right. They had this thing where they wanted it to be a one-on-one battle, which, uh, yeah, I don't remember typing all that much about this episode. It just was not that memorable.
Yeah, I'm just trying to check something quick here because I wanted to mention something in regards to One Piece, but I need to double check something here. Anything else you wanted to say about Mashle?
No, I'm through with Mashle. I'm ready for One Piece.
All right. So basically, in this episode, I'm sorry, I just wanted to double check. Okay. So this episode starts with them taking what was one panel and making it last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed you the them like trying to climb up and then deciding, we'll try it tomorrow. They get like 3 minutes out of that, and it was one panel in the original manga. Okay, so after we get that, though, everyone goes to have like a big feast with all of the animals. We get some wacky shenanigans, but the big thing is that we end up getting the flashback from Nami, and it mentions about how they were attacked by Big Mom's ships, but managed to make it here. And then we also have one of the rulers whose name is Duke Dogstorm, which is so goofy sounding, which his name in Japanese is Inuarashi, which, to be fair, does mean dog storm, but the alliteration in English makes it sound so weird.
Kind of like that guy from The Eminence in Shadow. Herb, remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What his full. Originally it was something else, but it had like the same basic joke as it did in English of it just being a ridiculous sounding name.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Anyway, so yeah, that was One Piece basically.
Yeah. What a weird name for someone, and kind of, I wouldn't say this is a weird episode. It would be weird if it wasn't One Piece, but for One Piece, it's kind of more of the same. Though I think that was pretty impressive how they managed to stretch out that one panel for like 5 minutes or something like that. Let me look at that. Yeah. So, they really. That was impressive. How many did this thing cover? A whole chapter, or was it part of a chapter?
This covered one chapter. Okay,
so they actually had to do some other things a little fast then. In that case, faster than usual.
In case anyone wants to actually, let me double check. What was the chapter this was? If anyone wants to look at it, you can find. The panel we're talking about. It's the start of chapter 807. Like first panel of the thing. There's that, and then they turned that into like about 3 minutes long. Okay. It's funny because when I was seeing, I was thinking this is looking padded out because it was doing like major reaction shots. Like it shows like this thing and it cuts back to Kinemon and goes ah, and then it cuts back to the thing and it cuts back to Kinemon again and he's still going ah or something like that. I'm thinking okay, they obviously moving like between them is like padding. And I'm like no, that whole sequence they weren't just stretching that out. That thing with him like screaming at the thing was like padding. So. So yeah, One Piece. One day presumably we will get our One Piece Kai, and we will be able to just watch this and go, wow, this is actually well paced now.
Yeah. Someday, once I'm 50 years old, probably.
All right. So, honestly, I think One Piece actually probably will end by then, but maybe I'm being too hopeful. I don't think One Piece is going to go on for another full decade, but I do think it's probably going to go on for a while still.
Yeah.
Here's
how many episodes? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's my hot take. The One Piece manga will be over by the end of 2030.
Okay, let's see.
But you were probably wondering how many episodes there were of it. Yeah. Let me check how many. I know we were past 1,000, but I don't know exactly where. Yeah. Let's see. One Piece anime. How many? Did it go on its hiatus? I know the anime was going to go on a hiatus soon, and they were going to, instead of hopefully, which will hopefully result in some better pacing, they're going to only do 26 episodes a year going forward. So that was the announcement they made. I guess they just decided even we can't stretch this out long enough because the manga's schedule has gotten more iffy. It's gotten more like iffy. There's more weeks that the author is taking off. But yeah, we are currently up to episode 153. Sorry, 1,153. I missed 1,000.
Off by only 1,000. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where we are in One Piece now. That means how far into the anime are we presently? I am going to do calculations with my calculator. We are currently about where we are in Toonami, almost 2/3 into the series. Compared to the anime, at least. The series is still going on. All right. Yeah, the series will, I'm sure it will end at some point, but we'll see. Sometimes I actually spend some time thinking about, One Piece, okay, time for another tangent, I guess, but One Piece ran in Weekly Shonen Jump. That's the magazine it runs. It's the most popular manga magazine in Japan, but by a good deal. By the way, I think its circulation is higher than the second, third, and fourth magazines put together. So, now the thing about Weekly Shonen Jump is that it's known that it's very ruthless in canceling series. If your manga premieres and it doesn't get an audience fast enough, it'll get canceled. There's all these series that have not even made it to 20 chapters. People came up with this name called the U19 Club for manga that didn't make it to chapter 19, which is, the term came from a manga called U19 that did not make it to 19 chapters. Ironically. Anyway, and of course, so that means someone has to just end their manga really quickly. And, so a lot of times you'll see them suddenly rush to a conclusion or just say, well, they went off and had more adventures. And I've just been sometimes thinking, you can see that with these, but what would have happened if this super long running series, what if Bleach or Naruto or One Piece had to suddenly, what if they were failures and authors got told, all right, you got to wrap this up by chapter 18. And I'm thinking, what would they have done in those cases? And for One Piece, I've never been able to decide because I don't know what the One Piece is yet, so I don't know how critical it is that it be revealed. So
yeah, watch, it will just be the friends we made along the way.
That's a joke everyone made, but I think if I remember correctly, the author has confirmed, no, like the One Piece, it is a physical, actual thing. It's not an abstract concept. There is an actual treasure, an actual physical treasure. What that treasure is, we don't know. We'll find out sometime. That's the other question. What happens if the author dies? Did he leave notes on what this was for someone else to complete? I hope he's taking steps just in case something like that happens.
Yeah, or there's probably 2 people in the world who know how it's going to end, and it's a trade secret, so it's protected in a safe somewhere. and you got armored guards outside it. And I heard that's what they do with the Coca-Cola recipe or whatever, KFC recipe. They only 2 people in the entire world know what it is, and it's very, very secret. So yeah. So
I just searched it up. Apparently, I don't know who else does, but apparently the editors of One Piece, and there's been a bunch of editors throughout its run, because a lot of series they'll switch them up because they get transferred or whatever. Apparently the editors have all known what the One Piece is. So they at least know that. So if Oda dies, they can at least tell any new author, any new replacement, or just tell people what it is. We'll see. Hopefully this will not happen. Hopefully we will see an actual conclusion before that happens. But you gotta just wonder, what if it's a case like the guy who wrote The Wheel of Time? He died, but he left behind really detailed notes on how to end it, so someone else came and finished it. Meanwhile, I think if I remember correctly, the author of Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin, he said, I have left instructions that all of my notes are to be burned if I die.
Why would he do that?
What?
Why would he do that?
I don't know, because he's ornery. Yeah, did I say author of Game of Thrones? Sorry, he's author of Song of Ice and Fire. That's the book series that the Game of Thrones TV show is based on. And the book series is still unfinished. It's kind of become a joke how long it's been since the last one came out. It reminds me a bit of the jokes people make about Hunter x Hunter, but at least Togashi sometimes brings out new chapters. Apparently he is actually working on new ones, so we'll come back and presumably get 10 chapters before it goes on hiatus again. All right, how long have
we talked a lot about One Piece.
How long did we spend on this tangent? Okay.
I don't know.
If our opening tangent didn't scare away everyone but the true listeners, then this definitely has. All right. That's it for the Toonami series then. So we've got Yu Yu Hakusho episode 85. So in order that we can have a one-on-one battle, Kuwabara, Kurama, Hiei, and I can't remember his name, but Seaman is what they always called him, get brought into this alternate universe by this weird sort of shadow thing that basically actually eats them apparently. So Yusuke then has to fight Sensui. We get some, and then they fight. And they fight, 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 and that's most of the episode, really.
And a lot of rapid fire punches that don't work. So we're back to the one rapid fire punch is not working anymore. It's more like Dragon Ball again. So
Yusuke actually did at least manage to deal some damage. It didn't beat him, but at least did something with that.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed that is that since both of them is is me realizing in these fights, man, there's a whole lot of shirtless fights in this series, aren't there? Like, I guess that's done to try to, get like the female audience interested, they fan service.
Fan service. Yeah.
But I was just suddenly realizing, wow, that actually does happen a bunch in this series, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And yeah, that's all the main stuff I have. I have to say, although I will mention, when this aired originally on TV, on Toonami, it was around this point, because I saw the whole series up to around this point, but then it changed its time to like this much later thing, and I didn't know that was what was changed to. So like weeks went by until I realized, wait, no, it's still airing. It's just on this time on this day now. So by the time I started watching again, this whole fight had finished. So so now I'm actually going to see how this goes.
I think Yusuke loses.
Well, I won't spoil that, but I only kind of vaguely know how it ends. I mean, because I know who like won and stuff, but I only vaguely kind of knew how that character ended up winning and such. Because they mention it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's it for Yu Yu Hakusho. All right, we'll move into our other shows, at least one of which may or may not be dropped this week.
Yeah.
All right, so let's, but we'll see how each of us ends up thinking about them. All right, so we first got To Your Eternity, episode 3. All right, so basically what's going on here is that we actually do get a name for the main character finally, except I can't actually remember what she said it was, so sorry. I at least I think they gave it to him. Anyway, so March gets split up from him because she gets recaptured. So they're going to still try to do the sacrifice thing, but that gets interrupted because this giant bear shows up and attacks. But I can't remember her name. What's the name? The purple-haired girl, the one who was trying to protect March. I can't remember her name. She tries to help, but then orb guy whose name I can't remember, he just turns back into the wolf and then fights off the bear, and that's all very good and such. And apparently now he's learned to talk because he does mention thank you to her. So sacrifice gets called off, which is good, I guess. But then the person who was trying to do it then tells him, yeah, well, I'll just tell them that you died in the sacrifice, and that's all great. But if you don't want me to kill you, you're just going to have to come with me to this place. So I guess they just go off with her. And that's where that's the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, of the 5 things we watched this week, this is the one I was least interested in. Now, that might have something to do with the fact that I watched it last. So it's possible that if I watched it first, I might have liked it more. But as it was, I don't know. I haven't been really attached to any character or anything. And, if like the other shows we're watching, the main character's pretty, unique, and you can get interested in what that character's like. But this one, the main character just isn't that interesting. So, I don't really have as much interest in it.
Well, did you finish watching the previous episode? Because you didn't. I remember you didn't finish it because you were kind of going through some stuff, and the subject matter kind of turned you off at the time.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember, actually.
Okay, that might have helped a little in this one. I was thinking I really liked it actually. So this one seems one where we might be very different opinions, but I enjoyed it. In regards to the main character, it's true he's kind of a blank slate, but he's also kind of supposed to be one because he doesn't really know human things. That's the thing I was getting. He has to be taught them. That's why it was a big thing when he actually finally learned how to say thank you after March tried to teach him. I'm interested, especially now that it seems like we're getting more into a direction of the show, whereas before this it kind of left me unclear on what was happening. Okay. Moving. Oh, one thing that is annoying. If you are watching this on Crunchyroll and you click the skip credits option, well, the problem is that skips a preview also. So,
yeah, I did that, and I was like, "Oh wow, that skipped right over that, and I missed it." So yeah.
What I just want to know about is the fact that if you look at the like sort of, when you watch stuff on Crunchyroll, they'll always have a little like thing at the top, like some image from the show or something that you often changes when new seasons. And I'm looking and I'm saying, wow, there's the main character. He's in what looks to be a modern city. How did we get from that to this? I kind of want to know. So, yeah. All right. We got there. Then we move over to Sanda episode 3. So, in this episode, let me just quickly refresh my memory. What happened here?
The stuff falling down.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That was the thing. They discover that when someone lies around him, stuff falls down or things break. So, which is how they managed to escape from someone, whereas one of the characters just says, by the way, I've always been in love with you ever since we met, which makes all the lights around there shatter, so they're able to get away. Anyway, so we get that. The other characters, they do briefly mention, remember Ono, that character that, what was his name? Fuyumura, that was her name, was like convinced was still alive. Well, she apparently is alive because they briefly see her, even though she runs off and they can't find her again. So there's going to be a funeral for Ono, but they decide, oh no, we can't let that happen because she isn't actually dead. And then the principal guy decides to hire a team of guys to try to hunt down Santa Claus. And then finally when Sanda is talking, and one of them, after initially misinterpreting a conversation between Sanda and Fuyumura as Sanda being about to confess his love to her, mentions that he's Santa, and the guy then shows up and shoots him and says, "Yeah, I was interested in that romance thing, but I can't overlook what I heard." So I'm going to assume that we get a bunch of, that he just turns into Santa Claus next time, because as we know, when he gets blood on him, it turns him.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this episode was really funny. I was enjoying a lot of the humor to it, and then whenever it ends that way, I'm like, oh man, now I have to see the next episode, because even if I didn't like it as much at first, it seems to have grown on me a little bit. So, yeah, I'm actually interested in continuing with this one. I was expecting the whole time that that theory that things happen because people are lying, like, turns out to not be even true. But and maybe that is the case, but it didn't happen in this episode. So yeah.
This feels like the second time in a row we ended up diametrically different because this episode, I mean, it had some fun things. I like the part where where Fuyumura is doing that thing where she's like doing the dramatic thing where she's like smashing her fist against glass and it's like starting to bleed and the glass gets in there. And then it's all dramatic moment at the end. She said, actually, this really hurts. And then they have to go to the nurse to get it patched up.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny, but otherwise, I don't know. I feel like I kind of have lost a bit of interest in this series. I think this was actually the one that I liked the least out of the group. Although I'll admit the cliffhanger ending made me decide, okay, I do want to check out the next episode, but almost more a matter of, well, I got to see how this cliffhanger concludes, but not necessarily because I'm super into it. Although I did still get some enjoyment from it. All right. Moving on to the dark history of the Reincarnated Villainess, episode 3. All right, so in this episode, a new guy shows up who apparently was a character that she wrote to be someone who is obsessed about Iana, and that's why he goes and tries to kill Konoha in the story because he blames Konoha for Iana's death, but Iana's alive in this thing, so he just kind of shows up, although he still wants to get rid of Konoha, and Iana's having to do all this stuff to try to convince him, no, don't do that. And yeah, so, and through a bunch of stuff, basically, it seems that he ends up concluding that he's going to have to kill Soul, and whereas Soul happened to hear something Iana says and thinks that like he's super important to her as a result. Also, the captions miswrote his name as Soul when it's SOL.
Mm-hmm.
So, my opinion, this still had some of like the kind of funny stuff, but I do kind of worry that the series, I kind of feel like the premise is starting to run a little thin for me. So, I don't know. We have this new stuff, but I just kind of feel like this wasn't as interesting or as funny as the previous 2 episodes. Though, I don't know if that's what you thought also.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. This was the show this week that I was like, I don't really care either way whether we continue it or not. It's like I'm okay with continuing it, but I'm okay with not continuing it because it's getting a little annoying, the main character like freaking out over everything. Like there isn't like a real storyline going on. It's just her panicking over every little thing that happens. So yeah, I have mixed feelings on this.
All right, so we move on to Gnosia episode 3. So in this episode, we discover that, like we found out at the end of the previous episode, now there's a bunch of new characters that are suddenly here, including a guy who looks like an alien, but apparently he's not an alien. He's just, I think they mentioned he was a human, but he had some sort of thing that required them to like remove his skin and put this new thing over him or something. So once again, this time we go through 2 loops. The first one is where what was I even saying? Right. The first one, he fails again. The second time, he actually managed to get it right. They seal the Gnosia away, and everything's great, except then he loops all over again. And then there's another new crew member. So, since this is all based on a game, I guess this is a part where they start to amp up the difficulty with more characters and more complicated and more Gnosia and stuff to keep it challenging.
Yeah, I was intrigued by the whole thing where they where they finally did it right. They figured out that who the Gnosia was, and they solved it and turned green. But all of a sudden, it goes back again to the beginning, and now there's more of it. So, yeah, I like how the character and the other characters get along with each other. It was especially thrilling to watch as they try to narrow down the possibilities and try to figure things out like that. And it reminds me a lot of Survivor. That's why I kind of like the whole voting thing. So, yeah, I enjoyed this a lot this week.
Yes, it was enjoyable. Although I kind of look at the show. Yeah, honestly, this was probably the most interesting of the episodes so far. But I do still look at it and be a little concerned. Okay, unfortunately, since we're just doing the same loop, like how long can this stay interesting? Because they introduced, for example, a new thing. Now there's an engineer where a specific person is able to examine one person later on and determine with certainty whether they're Gnosia or not, which I assume was just introduced in the game at this point to help. So, I mean, it has to give you some extra abilities if you're dealing with more Gnosia now. It makes me kind of interesting exactly how the game plays out. I mentioned a while ago, I was out of curiosity. I watched like the very beginning of the game, just like the first 10 minutes or so, which was the first episode. And turns out this did kind of spoil the fact that you loop even if you do get it right, because the person I watched it, they got it right the first time around. They correctly identified it was SQ. And so she gets put into the suspended animation, and then it says all clear, and then Setsu goes, "Oh, thank you, congratulations, you got it right." And then Setsu gives Yuri the thing, like, I can't remember exactly what Setsu says, but something like, "Hey, this thing will like keep you alive and help you." But Setsu then tells, like if you mess it up, and as we saw in the I'm sorry, I'm just babbling in this thing. The point is, if you can get it right and choose SQ as the Gnosia infectee, but then you'll loop even that first time. So I already knew that was going to happen because I saw that. So it was interesting. You can actually get it right in the first time around in the game, but I suppose for dramatic effect, they made sure to have Yuri get it wrong this time. So, yeah, my mumbling aside, I think this was the most interesting episode so far. The question is just, can they maintain this for another presumably 9 or so episodes?
Yeah, maybe do like ReZero and move on to another save point. I don't know.
Yeah, I am kind of curious a bit about how the game plays out. I mean, I know a few things about it, mostly just about how it plays out, and I've tried to avoid seeing too much, but we'll see how we get more continuity and information about what's going on. Then finally,
how do you get other people to vote your way? You know, like, are they just random votes that the computer does?
My understanding of how the game plays, and this is just secondhand information and what my brother told me a little of because he played the game. I should actually ask him more about it sometime. But it sounds to me that when in the game itself, this isn't necessarily the case in the earlier loops because, those are the tutorial. So there's several things. You do have skills you can use and of different kinds. Like you can I don't know if this is stuff you level up exactly or if you're just given it or you need to know it. But to convince other people, yeah, you can, if you have the right skills, you can be more persuasive to people. And if you choose the right dialogue options, that will be more persuasive for them. There's other things that you can do to give yourself better ability to identify whether someone's telling the truth or not. We kind of saw a little of this when Yuri was able to recognize that one of them is is lying. So I think you get stuff like that, but then you have to also be able to persuade people. So for example, if you might be able to figure out perfectly who the Gnosia is, but then you have to persuade the other people to do the votes. And in that case, I don't know exactly how it works, but I assume it's a matter of both having like better stats in like persuasion or whatever it is, as well as figuring out the correct like dialogue trees to convince people of what you want to do. That is my understanding of the game. I don't know like I said, my knowledge of it was watching just like the first 10 minutes, which was just the first loop where you didn't really actually do much there other than vote. But I do understand there is a lot more of that in which you have to, that's kind of how it works. You need to you have skills and stuff that you can use to figure things out, but that might be at the expense of being able to convince people.
Okay.
All right. Then we move back. We conclude with, may I ask for one final thing, episode 3. All right. So in this episode, Scarlet, they're going on with that plan they have. They want to try to get to to find the slave auction so they can expose it and free all the slaves and stuff. And Scarlet basically contacts this guy who's in that business to try to get an invite. Has to go through a bunch of stuff, including including giving off, I can't remember his name, but the Beastkin guy who was the slave that she freed, but so she just says, okay, yeah, you can have him as the slave to sell off, which is being done for the record with his actual permission, like they talked about beforehand. So they do that, and that's all part of the plan, so she can go there and do all that stuff. Also because I guess we do need it, she does beat up a guy. So in this, although that only won for once, actually.
Yeah. And then there's this mysterious girl at the very end of the episode that shows up, and she kind of shows up in the opening theme song as kind of like looking like a villainous character.
She is. You might not remember, but in the first episode, remember when her Scarlett's fiance breaks up with her and says, "I'm going to go with this girl." That's the girl. That's the pink-haired girl from that opening part. That's the one who shows up at the end here, with like the gun and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes me wonder if this gun is going to be enough to stop these punches that she is so good at punching, but it's like, you can't bring a fist to a gunfight. So, that will be interesting to see how that works out. I enjoyed this episode. It spoiler alert, it wasn't my favorite of the week, but it was still pretty good, and I'm enjoying the show too much to quit on it now. I know it hasn't, I don't think it's gotten the best reviews, but that's never stopped me, so yeah.
I think it was okay. Let me double check on what does my anime list have it at. Let's see, sorted by score. It's at 7.49. That's like not amazing, but it's decent. It's one slot. It's just above Sanda and Gnosia. So, those are decent, but not like amazing reviews.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, we've gotten all of that. Yeah, I am kind of curious legitimately whether her punches are just really strong, regular punches, or whether they're actually supposed to be supernatural. Because like if they're supernatural, then maybe she could like punch bullets away or something.
Right.
So we might find out that soon.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's all of those. So the question is, what will we drop, or are we going to drop anything? I could stay on these for like we're close to the end of the year, so it almost seems a little apropos to keep some of to make a more final decision in 2 weeks. Well, what do you think about that? Do you want to? Should we just keep all of them for 2 more weeks and then decide?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I think that's all of those, and yeah, out of curiosity though, I guess, did you have like a ranking of the ones that you wanted to mention, or should we just, or did you not do that and we could just skip over them?
I don't have that.
Okay.
So I just have which one I picked is the best of the week.
Sure. We can move into that. Then yeah, it's going to be a bit of an extra watch for these, but if we're just going to do it for 2 more weeks, we can decide it. And then decide if we want to drop off any of them. Okay. So we've for my picks for the Toonami would be, let me think, Mashle. And for non-Toonami, I'm going to say To Your Eternity.
I'm going with Bleach for Toonami, Gnosia for non-Toonami, my best girl of the week. Oh, we finally get to use her, Nami. She finally sewed up, probably she did last week, but finally, if I'm not mistaken, she hasn't been around like all of 2025. So,
I think there
there
was an episode or 2 that focused on what she and Brooke were doing, but we didn't really see too much of them beyond that.
Yeah. So, yeah, she finally gets to be used, and I was running out of characters to use. So thankfully she came back in this episode, because now I'm like, okay, how am I gonna make it 2 more weeks? I really low on characters here. I've got some Bleach. I have not used Rukia yet. So if Rukia can show up and do something in the next episode, I could use her there. But otherwise, I'm kind of running out. So we need to get lucky here at the end. Obviously, there's that girl from Sanda who I haven't used yet. So maybe I'll be able to make it 2 more weeks. We'll see.
Okay. All right, we'll be doing that. So, some information about next week, everyone. We're going to be having, well, I don't know if they'll actually both be released next week, but they'll be recorded next week. Next week we're going to have on Tuesday, we're going to record on Tuesday, probably Tuesday, but probably release later because, these usually don't get right away. The point is, we're going to be doing our regular one, and we'll also be doing a year-end ranking of all 16 of the shows we watch. Well, the shows we watch enough of to properly rank. So none of these newest shows that we're watching are going to be eligible for it. And we'll just do that. It's a usual ending tradition. We'll just each make a list and we'll go through it one by one, our own list one by one to compare them. Dang, I should have said we'll make a list and check it twice. Actually, in my case, it's probably going to be a lot more than that because I keep making the list and thinking, oh, I should maybe move this up a little. Oh, I should maybe move this down a little. So, yeah, we'll be getting that. We'll be doing that next week. Technically, that will not be quite the end of the encompass a full year because we will be recording most likely still in December for the episode after that. But since Toonami's on, a marathon there, the only thing that's going to matter is Yu Yu Hakusho. So that episode will probably not be enough to affect where its ranking is. Although if it's a super amazing or super terrible episode, I'll mention, if I could do it again, I would have bumped it up or dropped it down a slot. All right. That's enough of all of my babbling. Do you have anything else to say?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay. So, that's basically it. We will see you all next week. We'll be continuing the same non-Toonami stuff, at least for now. And then we'll be back with the regular Toonami stuff. So we will see you all then.
Bye.
Well, guys, our big day is finally here.
Give it up, rookie. You'll never beat me out there.
We're all in this together, and if we want to be champions, we work as a team.
Get out there and destroy them.
Sir! Yes, sir!
Just focus on winning. Nothing else.
I believe it's time to take the gloves off and rip these kids apart.
Team Satomi, let's win! Please.
Got a long way to go, man.
Don't go down yet, kid. It's just getting fun. Did you think you were gonna get away?
Step aside, son. It's my turn.
Big mistake, dude.
Watch out, Takashi. It's a trap.
This is why I love the IGPX!
I got you, Takashi.
You're gonna have to do better than that.
He's definitely got style.
Let's get these guys.
Roger that.
You look really cool out there.
This is what they call a smackdown! This all happening too fast for you, rookie?
I'll take your best shot anytime you want.
Why don't you stop screaming at him and just hit him?
Give it up for the team!
Team Satomi, IG1 champion!